Alright. Hello, YouTube. I'd like to talk about a game, or a mod, really, called Enderal. It's a Skyrim mod, and it's gotten a lot of hype. I'm not sure if it deserves all the hype it's gotten. Not to say it's a bad mod, but anyway, let's get into the game. I'm a ways in already, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Loading times are worse than normal Skyrim. I assume this is just because of the fact that it's a mod and it's got to go through a lot of things to load and unload normal Skyrim stuff. Anyway, so yeah, this is it's a whole new it's a what's called a full conversion mod, and that means that basically this is an entirely new game just made on top of Skyrim. Which is there's nothing wrong with that. There's no I have no comments on that type of modding. But yeah, this is a whole new world, whole new map. Let me show you the map. If you notice in that right corner, you see how I just gained experience? I'll explain a bit more about that later. But yeah, it uses a totally different leveling system from Skyrim as well. So let me go over the basics here. Here's the map. As you can see, there's no Whiterun, no Solitude. It is a completely different map. Completely different landmass, all unique. As you can see, I've explored a good chunk of it, but not the whole thing. It looks to be probably about a third of it, although I've explored what seems to be the civilized part, so I'm not sure if the rest of it will be as dense. I actually walked straight from like here to here, and there's nothing here. That is what that is. That's all there is. So you can see these Myrad towers. Those are actually fairly interesting because that is how you fast travel in this game. There's no, you see me clicking on this, I can't get there just by fast traveling like you would in Skyrim. And that's fine because this is a smaller map. So, you know, you don't want people to be able to zip across it. It makes the world feel small. Without fast travel, the world's going to feel bigger, which is a good idea, really. And there's still fast travel. I just have to go and actually do it in world, and it only goes between certain places. That's actually interesting. I wonder if that does anything yet. No, probably for some quest. That is something about the world that I want to offer some critique on. The world is not nearly as rewarding to explore as Skyrim's. The thing is that most of the locations are going to be involved in some side quest or another. And I get what this is. It's being efficient with your space. There aren't any. Every little location you can find, it probably is going to be, even like a random cave, is going to be the site of some side quest. Which means that you just have to, you know, do all the side quests, and then you'll see everything. Which I get what they were doing, but it does mean that just going off in a random direction and going there, you're going to be it's not as rewarding because you're going to run into things that, you know, if you have played before, you're going to be like, oh, I recognize this is from this and this side quest. Make sure I'm going toward the Myrad Tower so I can talk about that. Yeah. So it's just not as rewarding to just pick a direction and go, which is one of the, you know, core things about Skyrim that is a lot of fun. Is just you can just pick a direction and walk, and you'll find things that, you know, were hidden that, you know, they didn't even necessarily expect you to see. Grab some. Those are some crafting supplies. The crafting system is still intact from Skyrim, although it seems to be a bit not as important. Especially enchanting and alchemy seem to be a lot weaker. Self-made enchantments and self-made potions seem to be far less powerful than they were in Skyrim. But let's see if I can make some things. Fine steel. So I do want to talk about fine steel. If you can tell, I'm wearing the fine steel helmet and the fine steel chest armor, curious, with dwarven arm and leg armor, but it's actually called Starling in this game. But let me put on the full fine steel set. So the fine steel set has what looks to be a scale. I guess I call it a hauberk, but they call it a cuirass. A scale cuirass that is completely asymmetrical, which looks cool. Then you've got some gauntlets that are just protect your hands. Then you've got a Aventail helmet, a nasal helm, with a chainmail little Aventail that clips through my beard for one, and hangs loose over the armor. And then you've got some boots and greaves that just kind of don't. The point is that none of it really fits the set very well. They don't look good together. They don't look like they were even made by the same person. It looks like they just took a bunch of assets and they were like, we'll call all this fine steel. It doesn't look like a set. And it's this kind of artistic friction that I see a lot, and although not in the case of the fine steel, but in a lot of the cases in this game, it's due to using Skyrim assets and their own assets together, when they probably should have just got their own assets and made all their own assets and made them all fit together. So you get a lot of this just not fitting. Okay. Some combat here. Maybe I can talk about combat in this game and what I like about it and what I don't. But yeah, those are low-level enemies. That if you took they took a lot of doing to kill, which not my fan of. I'm not a fan of that. It's making enemies so insanely tanky that even low-level ones take a lot of damage to kill. Oh shit. God damn it. That's why I don't like... And so, see, Skyrim did that a lot better. A lot of the things you could jump off and slide down wouldn't kill you. Sort of used to that. Not that that's really a good comparison point. Skill books. I'll talk about those later. Skill books are not my favorite thing. Oh, jeez. Jeez. That'll teach me to quick save more often. Let's just run past this so I can get to the Myriad Tower. But yeah, talking about artistic friction and how their assets just don't all fit together with the Skyrim assets. This guy's a pretty neat looking little dude. but you can see that they've got like cattle prods on them. I don't know, it fits pretty well. That looks like it was custom made actually. But I mean, the whole point is that a lot of the Skyrim assets just don't fit the world that they're trying to show me very well. They look out of place. And you know, a lot of them look fine, but it just seems like they probably should have used more assets. So let me show you another thing. That just kind of has this disconnect. You got this bell hammer, right? Bell hammer. That's a dwarven hammer, but no, we're gonna recall it a bell hammer. And I don't mind like reusing stuff. You got rune is, yeah, one thing. So this rune battle axe is an orcish axe. So they took something from Skyrim. Okay, well, okay. So all orcish things are called rune, right? That makes sense. You got rune, got a rune shield. That's an orcish shield. All right, fine. But I've seen rune armor in this game. You know what rune armor is? It's the wolf armor, the companion's armor. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You got the starling boots and gauntlets are dwarven, but I don't know. What if I don't know what the helmet or cuirass is gonna look like. It could look like, I don't know. They could have pulled you could be pulling steel plate and then call that call the steel plate the starling armor, and it'll look like garbage together. But I mean, that's what all the rune stuff looks like, because it's half orcish, half companion stuff. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know. I don't know what their thinking was there. It's just there's a lot of this incongruity together. Talking about more incongruity in things that just don't fit well. We've got the whole fact that this there's only really one big city in this whole thing, which I guess makes sense. But they also talk about several other little settlements, and you visit one at the very beginning of the story when you start out. One of the first quests says you go to a small town. Creatively enough, I believe it was named Riverville. Surely it has no relation to Riverwood. But I think the whole thing is that during that time you learn that one of the main characters in that quest came from a town called Fogville, and if you read his notes and stuff, it seems that Fogville is a normal town, which would make a whole lot of sense, right? But then I visited Fogville, and you know what Fogville was? A smoking ruin.
Blessed dear traveler.
Here we go.
You probably don't know this, but unfortunately the street you're walking on is owned by the Honorable Monsieur Croco. And sadly, he himself has ordered that all wanderers must pay a fee so that we can keep the streets in good condition. So please, be so... Oh yes, kill him.
Wrong time, wrong place.
I want to talk about this too. Let's see. And talk about some combat here. One thing that I dislike about this game is the difficulty is all over the place, really. It's not hard, per se. It's tedious, is more how I'd put it.
No.
That little kid's getting in on the action. One thing that I do like is, let's take a health potion here. I normally wouldn't, but a health potion in this game will heal you way faster than almost any other source of health, as per usual. But it also increases something called your arcane fever. That little kid wrecking face, huh? Nice work. There's our archer friend. Archers in this game are extraordinarily accurate. It's very hard to dodge their projectiles, which is and they also are generally just as tanky as the rest of the enemies you'll face. That is a that's something that I don't quite understand what the idea was. They make these enemies just be rather very samey to fight. It feels like the main difference between an archer, a heavy armored sword guy with a shield, and a light armor barbarian is the fact that the shield guy does a lunge animation all the time that doesn't look very good. That's the main difference. I mean, that's about it. I really don't like that animation. I think I'm sure some people do, but I find it rather annoying. Especially since every single person with a sword and shield or a one-handed weapon will pretty much use that animation consistently. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, this is how fast travel works in the game. You can pay this guy to fly you around on these things, which, in my opinion, is the way to do fast travel in games. You do it between the civilized areas with something in-game like carts or that sort of thing. Skyrim had the carts, which you could use, but the problem with it is that the carts didn't go to every civilized area. There were big gaps. If Skyrim had set that up a little bit better, I think it could have been an actual good replacement for the whole, actual fast travel system. In this game, it works fairly well because of how small the whole thing is. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I am a battle mage character. That's how I've created this character. Heavy armor, magic. But, due to the leveling system, and I'm going to talk about this for a little bit, due to the leveling system, I don't actually have to do that. I'm better at that. I'm better at magic than anything else, but my mana goes away fairly quickly, especially because of how tanky the enemies are. And that means that magic characters are kind of gimps in this game because of how fast your mana runs out compared to how much health all the enemies have, and they have lots of health. So you have to, being a pure mage is pretty much it's not really viable. I suppose I am as going a battle mage, or at least battle mage isn't as viable, because I'm not wearing robes, I'm wearing armor, and robes do have regeneration effects and all that on them. So being a battle mage is not as viable unless you are almost as good with weapons as you are with magic, because you will need them as a backup. This is sort of why I was using this, because there's also, using this is not going to increase my two-handed skill. It's not like Skyrim in that regard. To increase skills, you have to read books. And by read, I mean smash into your face until destroyed, as per usual with books in the Elder Scrolls series, for whatever reason. This means that this has this, I'm not sure if it was intended consequence of meaning that you spend almost all of your money on skill ups, which does make you feel like you have very little money at almost all times. I'm like a level 19 character, and I have pretty much, I have 300 gold, which is nothing, because I have to spend all my gold on level ups all the time. Let's see if I can show you the whole, there's probably, Probably something. Yeah, pennies found over 12,000. The most I've ever had on myself at any one time is 2,000. That is a odd ratio for one of these games. Usually, if I found over 10,000 gold, I would not have been able to spend that. So that is interesting, and I guess they were trying to like fix the economy by doing this. But at the same time, it feels to me almost like a cop-out, because I don't feel like I should have to spend my gold to get better at doing things. It feels odd. It feels not. It doesn't feel like something an RPG should encourage. That might be like a personal feeling toward this thing, but I just don't like that. I've had to record this multiple times due to various, mostly my mistakes and not knowing how to record things. But I did want to mention, as I did the previous time, that is the only corundum mine I have ever found. And you need corundum to make steel. Now, needing corundum to make steel doesn't make any sense. But at least in Skyrim, corundum was common enough so that it wasn't really a problem. However, in this game, corundum seems to be rarer than gold. In fact, I found about 3 gold mines, which is fairly rare. And that's the only corundum I've ever found. You find silver and quicksilver everywhere. Just everywhere. But, yeah, corundum, no. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right spots. I don't know. But that's been my experience. Let's see. Where should we go next? Let's, I've got a map marker going that way. I think that was for some random quest that I wanted to work on. So let's go this way. What else did I... Oh, yeah, the leveling system I did. Let's see if we can get some voice acting.
You're not from here, are you?
Yeah.
I heard you talk. Your accent is so funny.
Yeah, that's probably the worst voice acting in the game. That, whoever does that kid, not to be offensive, but it doesn't sound very good. Yeah, so, the voice acting in this game is not, I keep calling it a game. It's technically a mod, but at the same time, it's so different from Skyrim. I really feel like it's best to call it its own game. If you'll notice, I just picked up something called an Ice Claw. That's actually a really interesting little side quest. I guess.
Huh.
I don't know if I can call it a. I don't know if I can call it a side quest, really.
The last thing Enderal needs right now are more wild mages.
It's a little side quest where you pick up these little mushrooms and you eat them and you gain 1 carry weight. It's a nice little thing. It's not particularly immersive. Unless you want to explain it with magic, which they didn't. It just was a pop-up thing that said, "Hey, eat these mushrooms, you get stronger." Permanently. Again, doesn't really make much sense, but at the same time, it's a fun little mini game. So, or I don't know if mini game is the right term. Quest, whatever. And it does help your character grow, and you feel like, exploring is worth something. Especially since exploring in this game, in this mod, is not as rewarding as Skyrim. I think I mentioned this a little bit already. And that most of the things you'll find have to do with a side quest or something. So it's... Oh, jeez. I love getting stunned in games. Alright, let me drink some of my own potions, since those are better. Oh, you see that lunge animation? I hate that thing. I hate that lunge animation. I will say that is interesting. I did just update this game, like a couple days ago, and I haven't played it since I updated it. But it used to be that archers would never pull out a melee weapon. They never even had one. So it looks like they fixed that. So now that if you get close to them, at least archers will try to pull out a weapon. Which it wasn't particularly useful because the archers were so accurate that even when you got up close to them, it was better. It's probably better if they don't pull out a melee weapon because they will do more damage with their insane accurate bows. But yeah, anyway, I guess I actually, things are kind of blurring together because I've had to record this a couple times. I'm not sure if I've mentioned about the exploration yet, but exploration in this game is not as rewarding as in Skyrim. It just is not. That is because most of the places that you'll find have to do with side quests. And that means that there's no real reason to explore on your own. I think I did mention this. Jeez. I am jumping and bobbing around, and this guy's still able to hit me really well. You see how that guy just had 1 coin. You are constantly feeling like you have no money due to this whole having to pay for skill ups nonsense. Anyway, let's need to save out here. See my E and B going off for a second. Let's heal up. I'll talk about combat more. Combat in this mod is probably the most tedious in any Elder Scrolls game, and I'm including Morrowind, although I have not played Daggerfall or Arena, so I can't comment on those. But it is definitely more tedious than Morrowind's. Because at least in Morrowind, once you got some skill ups into your chosen weapon, you'd be hitting most of the time. And damage in Morrowind is high, and health is not particularly high either. So that means, 80 coins at once. That is, that's a lot. That's more than I think I've ever gotten off of any one person. Let me, keep eating things so I can heal up. Eating is the primary way you want to heal in this system, which is sort of neat because it forces you to heal outside of combat. Unlike in Skyrim, where the primary method of healing is to chug potions at a rapid pace. Got some experience for that quest. I was actually hoping it would have more parts to it, because it seemed like to be one of those multiple part quests. I was hoping to have more to do. Oh well. I will say the side quests in this game have been par for the course as far as Skyrim style quests go. Nothing special, nothing as far as side quests go. The main story I want to talk about on its own. It's not well, let me say that I know a lot of people are very impressed with its with that, with its main quest. I have been less so. But I kind of want to make that its own video. So I'll talk about that later. Oh gosh, I had some other things I wanted to cover. Let's see. Oh, that's the way we came. Let's keep going this way. What else did I want to cover? This is why I should write scripts. That's why when you do a video, you really should write a script, but I decided not to. So let's see. I'm sure I'll have more things to talk about if I just play. It's hard trying to remember because I recorded earlier, and then I found out that my software was not recording right, and then I had to restart my recording, which is always a pain because then you're like, if you didn't have a script, you're like, oh gosh, what have I covered and what have I not covered? I covered it in the previous one, and I didn't cover it in this one. Oh yeah, tanky enemies. The tanky enemy thing, I guess it's a personal dislike, but I think that it would be, if you're not gonna do, you have a couple options when it comes to combat, and you can make it so that both the player and the enemies have lots of health. This is fair, but it's tedious. This guy's strong. I was able to evade her most of the time. Go as poorly as it might have. So yeah, I mean, you can make either the enemies and the player have a lot of health. This is fair, and it does mean that you can sort of be more granular with your design, because it means that, like, if you can have various things have very slightly different amounts of damage. This is why you'll see MMOs do this a lot, where you'll have, even starter weapons doing something like 10,000 damage. This is so that they can, have something that does 10,001 damage, and you'll still pick it up. So they have they can build a lot of content, basically, is the whole point of that. In a non-MMO, like, a single-player game, I don't really see the point of having big numbers. I think that it would be better if everything was smaller. You don't have a lot of health. Your weapons don't do insane amounts of damage. And what this will mean is that combat is fast and brutal. And I just preferred that sort of style. I can understand how people might disagree with that, but anyway, I think that's all I need to cover for now. We will cover other things in a possible later video. I'll leave you on this fight.